Good evening. Welcome to another episode of the Big Ten Mafia Show here on the College Football Mafia Network. Pickles, unfortunately, cannot join us tonight, so I'll be doing the hosting duties on this episode of Big Ten Mafia. I am very pleased to have Becky Go Huskies, the mistress of mopeds, off to my right here, and she will be co-host tonight. How are you doing today, Becky?
I'm doing good. Good. Wish I hadn't shared my moped story now.
Forever and always, Becky Go Mopeds. We're going to talk a little bit about the bowl action from this week, talk about some of the news in the Big Ten. Should be exciting stuff. How are you? How was your weekend, Becky?
Long, fun, but long.
There you go.
Yeah.
You didn't steal any mopeds, though, right?
Didn't steal any mopeds. Did do a lot of tequila shots. So.
All right. Well, there you go. If you can't steal a moped, at least you can do a tequila shot.
Yeah.
But I want to show something off right off the bat. I want to share an article. I just put it up on Twitter as well. But I thought this was rather interesting because we talked a little bit about this last night. Exactly how much money has been brought into the conference from the playoffs. The Big Ten generated $40 million total. Let me grab it here. Big Ten generated $40 million total for Ohio State, Penn State, Indiana, and Oregon, making it into the college football playoff. That puts them as number one amongst conferences. The second one was the SEC at $26 million, Notre Dame at $14 million. But keep in mind that Notre Dame's $14 million. They only have to divide one way. The $40 million that the Big Ten makes will be divided once the participation bonuses are paid out. That will be divided evenly among all 18 members, including Oregon and Washington. They do get full cut of the postseason revenue. So just something I wanted to put out there. Kind of interesting, kind of cool to see the Big Ten leading the way in terms of money. I know people think we're a poverty conference, but that's, I just wanted to put that out there just so people knows we're not. We've got money here.
Right. So poverty.
The richest conference in college athletics. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to throw that link up here for anybody who wants it. If I can find it. There it is. I'm going to go ahead and pop that in the chat. Interesting article. Give it a read. Kind of breaks things down for us. But other than that, we're going to jump right into bowl season, bowl week. How did bowl week conclude for the Big Ten? Well, we're going to start off with the Blue and Maize bully Bama. Michigan bullies the Crimson Tide. What did you think of this game, Becky?
I mean, bullies is that's a great word to use. I mean, this game, I was like, well, Michigan's got a lot of guys out. They don't really throw the ball well. They're probably not going to be able to run the ball too great. No, they pretty much ran them.
I think we may have lost Becky. I'm going to go ahead and go to a video package that I produced for this. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of this and figure out just exactly how the Wolverines dominated. You'll understand why we use the term bully here.
And ball security, ball's out. 30-yard try for Zavada. Good hold with a brand new holder and the field soon. Let's see if they do it. That throw tipped up and intercepted. Wesley Walker tipped it to himself and then hauled it in. It's another Alabama turnover. Wink Martindale's getting high fives all over the place. And so far, the Michigan defense, without their stars, is dominating this game. Third time already in the first quarter, Michigan starting from Alabama territory. A throw incomplete. The tight end, Hansen, kind of got turned around. I think he got his hands on the ball. Turnovers, the field position. That's been the story of the first quarter. Warren in the pocket, throws over the top, and caught! Touchdown! What a catch by Frederick Moore!
All right. I don't know how much of that you saw, Becky. So
not a lot of pros.
okay.
No, I was saying, I was like, they pretty much bullied them. They beat them in the first quarter. Like, I've never, like Pete Carroll had a saying when he was head coach at the Seattle Seahawks: you can't win a game in the first quarter. Michigan literally did that.
They literally did it in 5 minutes of game time.
Yeah, they didn't have. I was like, I know they didn't do well.
And I think we lost Becky again. Unfortunately, the internet out in Seattle is apparently maybe lagging a little bit today. We're dealing with snow in the Midwest. I don't know what the weather's like out there in the typically sunny Pacific Northwest. But moving on, yes, very good game from the Wolverines defensively. Wink Martindale called a hell of a game. Credit where credit's due. This is coming from an Ohio State guy. He called an excellent game. Within 5 minutes of game time, you had 3 turnovers. You had 3 turnovers that led to 10 points from the Michigan Wolverines and resulted in their lone touchdown of the contest.
Yeah. Like I said, offensively, Michigan was meh. Like, they really weren't great. I mean, they had 100 yards. I think they did have a 100-yard rusher. Yeah, you see it right there. They have 100 yards rushing. They didn't throw the ball incredible, but, Jalen Milroe didn't. I don't know why he's going to the NFL after this game. We've seen Milroe play better, so I don't know. If I recall, Michigan had a number of their dudes sit out, right?
Oh,
from that defense. So, none of it makes sense as to how Michigan was able to do this, but they just kind of they literally just hung in there with them, and 3 turnovers to do it. That's the difference.
Yeah.
3 turnovers.
I mean, this game was won in the first quarter. Michigan had 16 points in the first quarter, scored a field goal in the fourth quarter, but that was all the scoring you got from Michigan. Their leading receiver had 37 yards.
Yeah. I mean, their quarterback only had 73 or something like that, 72. Like, this is ridiculous. And he was 9 of 12. They just ran the ball right at him. They're just like, eh. And, Michigan's best running backs did not play. They're going to the NFL.
Absolutely. Get ready for the draft in the NFL. It's interesting. You look at the team stats. Alabama had 260 yards. Michigan had 190. They did not even crack 200 yards on offense. Of course, the big one, Michigan had 1 turnover. Alabama had 3. Yeah. And like I said, those were all in the first quarter. Those were all in that little margin of time in the first quarter. But time of possession, Michigan, 38 minutes, 12 seconds. Alabama, 21 minutes and 48 seconds.
Yeah, if you watched it, you're like, how did they do it? Well, if you watched it, you're like, they just had long, sustained drives. Michigan just sustained drives, whereas Alabama was like 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3. It's getting to a point where I was like, what are you guys doing? It's just so bad. But
it was.
Time of possession, you would think Michigan would have won by 50. But
yeah,
no.
and I couldn't root for that team, but like I said on Twitter, I said, if this, I'm not going to root for them, but if they do beat Alabama after all the fuss Alabama made about the college football playoff, after ESPN made such a big deal about Alabama being left out, that was a big win for the Big Ten. Huge for them. Congratulations to the Michigan Wolverines. That's about the only time you'll hear me say that. But thank you very much for that, guys.
Yeah, just.
And now we're going to move on to the Sun Bowl. This is one that I know you had some skin in the game on this one. Obviously, your Washington Huskies playing the Louisville Cardinals. Let's take a look at there's one highlight here in particular I want to bring up.
To the corner. He got it. To Jackson. Touchdown. Number 4 on the day.
Inside fade. That's the one where you have the most room out there to be able to throw. One-on-one to the outside. perfect throw that time. Not it.
For a Husky win on a 2-point conversion. Williams throws same spot. Broken up by Louisville.
That's what I would have done.
They've
with
been
this
here
one.
all week. Let's
Absolutely.
go play to win. And they almost did. Dramatic comeback for the Huskies from 2 touchdowns down, but they end up that short.
Oh, what a great play by Watts on this play.
It's heading that way. High hop. And
Out of bounds.
out of bounds.
Washington on the play. I think it was Kariski, number 85, is
tight
the
end.
first guy. He touches it right
There.
And then knock it out of bounds. That's all you have to do.
And then
Brutal ending to a competitive game. I like the call. I said to these guys last week when it was being played, I like the call. Hey, you go for the win. You get the 2-point conversion. You win the game. It's over. Unfortunately, didn't turn out that way for the Huskies. They did, and it was just a great defensive play. The kid fell back. Huge vertical leap on that guy's part. Got his hand on the ball. But I did enjoy, I included that there in the highlight, the last onside kick from Washington. Washington had a chance. If that kid would have caught that ball, Washington had time to get a field goal off and potentially win the game. So probably the most exciting 2 minutes of the bowl season for the Big Ten right there. That was some fun stuff. What did you think about it? Did Williams impress you?
Williams impressed me a lot. Let's just say this is his second career start. His first career start was in Autzen at Oregon. He was sacked 10 times. He's a true freshman. He is a true freshman. He was committed to Arizona. Fish came to Washington. He never stepped foot on Arizona's campus. Came with Fish. I thought he played outstanding. They got behind a little bit there. They were down 2 scores. Got a little ugly in the fourth quarter or the third quarter, but they made a great comeback. I liked the play call on the conversion. It just took a great play. It literally just was a great play by the defender. You tip your hat. I don't know what else to say. He made a play. He was really good. Just a really good play. I think, if that ball's thrown a foot higher, they win. But yeah, the 2-point conversion, that ball, I'll say this. The Washington kicker hasn't been great all year, really kicking the ball. But man, he has a ridiculously good onside kick. When they use it, that's what you see from it. Just kind of spun there, the way it was spinning.
Oh yeah.
That was a hot potato. And they practice it, but the way that thing was spinning, that was going to be hard to catch. But that was a perfect onside kick, by the way. That was perfect. You can't get a better onside kick than that. That ball was hard to handle by both teams, and they gave it a shot. I am very impressed, though. A true freshman, players out. A lot of players opted out. Defensive coordinators heading off to North Carolina. But he didn't quit on the guys. The defense played bad for a good chunk of the game, but in the end, do you know what the difference in this game is, Moen?
What's that?
See that turnover right there?
Yeah.
That was one of the few balls that didn't hit the ground. That was an incompletion. That was a pick six. That ends up being the difference in the game. He threw a pick six.
Yes, he threw a pick six, but I mean, come on, he had 425 yards of offense by him, between throwing and rushing. So
I thought you were going to show the play where he was about to get popped, kind of spun, and just I don't know how he found that receiver.
Oh yeah, the guy that was an insane play too. You could go find that on YouTube, guys. I can only clip a minute for copyright reasons. So I wanted to get the last thrilling part in there. But yes, I believe it was 4th down too. Yeah,
it was a 4th down play. It was ridiculous. I don't know. I personally was like, how do you find that guy? I don't even know how he saw him. I have no clue how he saw that guy. It was insane.
Absolutely.
Just the craziest play. He's going to be a good one. He's an athletic freshman. He was a 4-star player. He's going to be pretty good. I mean, there are Duck fans who are on Twitter after that game were like, "Oh my God, that dude's good." So just a matter of keeping him happy and paid to keep him in Seattle, but which I don't think is a problem, but you never know.
Speaking of which, while we're on the Washington Huskies topic, and before we say hello to some people here, want to get your thoughts. New defensive coordinator for the Washington Huskies coming over from Purdue, former head coach of Purdue, former defensive coordinator at Illinois, Ryan Walters. What is your thoughts on Mr. Walters? Give you a lot of hope going forward?
Yeah, I like this hire. I think it's a great hire. You get somebody who knows the conference. 2, you get somebody who can actually coach. Like, the problems at Purdue really weren't too much defensively. They were just bad all around. They just didn't have a lot of talent. But he recruited the best safety in the conference. He got the best safety in the conference to play it. Of all places, Purdue. So you give him credit there. He put that kid in position to be great. And his defenses at Illinois were outstandingly good. So I like it. I think he's also a good recruiter. He's just a very good recruiter. This is a great thing all around. I'm curious as to who he's going to change and where he's going to plug guys in and out. But very, very happy with this hire.
Good. Yeah, I think it was a great hire. Great DC. I just don't think he had what it took to be a head coach.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, there's a lot of guys out there like that. Was it Steve Spagnuolo is one of those guys in the NFL at Kansas City.
Oh yeah.
He was great with, I think it was the Giants before, and then he became the head coach of the Rams. He was just not a good head coach of the Rams, and then he's doing great things with Kansas City. So just some guys are like that.
Reminds me, I think I mentioned it last week, Wade Phillips, a guy who could never get it done as a head coach, but you could put him in a defense, and within a season, he'd have that defense in the top 10 in the league.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, there's just some guys, they're just better coaches than they are like managers. And essentially, head coaches are managers for the most part. Unless they're calling plays, they're probably not doing a whole lot of like hands-on stuff. So they're usually just kind of in every meeting.
Absolutely. Let's say hello to some people here. Clayton. Boy, oh boy, brother. I don't think I'm going to even try to pronounce that last name. Clayton says OH. I will give him an IO. Good to see you, Clayton. Thanks for stopping by. Marcus Williams is here. He says go blue. I'm going to allow it simply because they beat Bama. That's not an endorsement. I'm just allowing him to say that. Nathan Campbell's in the house. He says hello. Good to see you, Nathan. Got a guy here, Parker Curry. Haven't seen you before, Parker. If you're watching us for the first time, consider giving us a like and a subscription. We do the Big Ten Mafia show every Monday. Do you like Minnesota Golden Gophers football team? We'll get to it. We're going to get to the Duke's Mayo Bowl in just a moment.
I do want to say that my grandfather went to the University of Minnesota, so I did grow up watching Golden Gopher football. So,
Clay Johansson says go blue. Again, that's not an endorsement. I'm just telling you what he said.
Yeah.
Clayton wants to know if the Washington Huskies are going to try to get back Ryan Grubb. Ryan Grubb was fired today by the Seattle Seahawks.
So many comments on that. The failure of an offensive line. Another coordinator is the scapegoat. I don't see there's no talk of them bringing him back in anything as of right now. I wouldn't put it out of the realm for Fish to do it, but let's just be honest. You know this, Moen. Jed Fish calls plays. The offensive coordinator is also the offensive line coach in Carroll. So I don't know where he would fit other than being an analyst. But Grubb will probably have his options somewhere down in Tuscaloosa because his best friend is the head coach in Tuscaloosa. So I would suspect he's probably going to head back there.
Timothy Green says, please, everyone, like, subscribe, share, and comment. Thank you very much. Thank you, Timothy Green. Always appreciated from Mr. OG West Virginia Mountaineer. Yes, if you're watching us for the first time, consider giving us a subscribe. Hit us with a like. Leave us a comment. We respond to comments in the comment section. We try to get as many comments from chat as we can. Illini Ted says, hey, all. Stay tuned, Illini Ted. We're going to cover the Citrus Bowl next. Timothy Green says, I think that Walters will make a really good fit for the Huskies. Hey, he really knows what he's doing. Absolutely. Illini Ted, of course, he's familiar with Mr. Walters' work. The only fear I would have with Walters is moving to the Pacific Northwest, but because University of Washington is in the big, it shouldn't be too big of a deal.
Little tidbit on how this worked out. Walter's dad is an executive at Microsoft here in Seattle. Like really high up. So that's why it's an easy fit. Walter's parents already live here.
There you go.
So everybody knows that.
Antoine Code says, hey, y'all. Good to see you, Antoine. Hope you're doing well, sir. Alana Ted says, I don't think there's a chance at all, but Marcus Freeman's name is being thrown around Chicago media for the Bears opening. Come on, let's not wish any bad fortune on the guy.
Yeah. I don't know why. I mean, the Bears have a good chance to one day be good, but I've seen his name, Dan Lanning's name. I've seen a few other college coaches' names come up, and I'm just like, the Bears they just need to find the right. As long as the Bears just got to find the right guy. Whoever that is, I don't know, but I doubt it'll be a college coach. Just be honest. I don't think it'll be a college coach.
It's just such a terrible job. Bad ownership. I don't ever see that team getting out of the basement. It's just
I think it was somebody pointed out that it's always every time they draft a quarterback, the GM goes with the quarterback. So it's like every single time they get a quarterback, they fire the GM and then they get rid of the quarterback next, and then they fire the GM again after they draft a quarterback. So I don't know why, like you said, it's bad ownership. It's just bad ownership. So I don't know what else to say about them.
And I say that as a fan of a franchise with terrible ownership.
I was gonna say you're a Bengals fan, like you get it, man.
Yeah. Antoine Code says the Bears is a horrible job. Freeman should stay away from it. I think any coach should stay away from it.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was saying. Let the guys who are already in the NFL take a shot at it because they're used to it and they're just like, they'll bounce back. But I don't see why Freeman, who would leave a job that probably pays about the same anyways what the Bears would, is going to leave. So
absolutely. I think he's going to be staying in South Bend for a while. Speaking of that, the Midwest there, neighbor to Notre Dame, Illinois, they played against South Carolina in the Citrus Bowl. Excuse me, the Citrus Bowl. I only pulled one highlight from this game. Can you guess what highlight it was, Becky?
From the Citrus Bowl?
From the Citrus Bowl.
The taunt.
So let's take a look at it. Brett Bielema, quote unquote, taunting. Now, Brett clarified afterwards. He says he was not trying to taunt Mr. Beamer, but look at Mr. Beamer's reaction to this video.
And you get a thigh to the helmet like that, and let's just say the helmet ain't hard enough when you got 240-pound legs with momentum hitting you. So I know what that feels like.
That can't feel good.
It doesn't.
And what do we have? We have an altercation of some sort down on the field. Shane Beamer is incensed, irate about something.
Brett Bielema walked across the field to take care of his injured player and taunted Shane Beamer with the substitution posture the refs do, the matching signal. He did it repeatedly. Beamer could hardly believe it at first.
Wow, Q.
He taunted Shane Beamer, and Beamer had enough and snapped. Shane just turned to me and said, you saw what he did. I did see it.
Here's a look at it.
I did see it.
Gotta love that reactionary ESPN commentator. I saw it. Yep, I saw it. That's exactly what it was. For the record, Burt is a treasure in the Big Ten. I can never say enough good things about Burt as long as I'm not playing him. He loves to troll. The man just loves to troll. Too. That was, he got underneath Beamer's skin there, irritated Beamer. And the Illinois Fighting Illini went on to win and get their 10th win of the season here. The Illini got to 10 wins. Again, this is another SEC team that was supposed to be in the playoffs, that deserved to be in the playoffs. They ended up playing against the Fighting Illini, and the Illini defense shut them down. Just shut them down. This was the hottest team at the end of the season. There was multiple people saying nobody wants to go play this team. Nobody wants to go play this team. Apparently, Illinois did, and Illinois won this game. And that's despite losing the turnover battle, despite losing the yardage battle, and losing the time of possession battle.
They just, the difference, that one touchdown versus a field goal in the first quarter. That's it. They got a touchdown, and South Carolina couldn't manage to get it. Also, I just want to point out, by the way, like Shane Beamer's there, like screaming at Brett Bielema. Wasn't Brett Bielema like an offensive lineman in college?
Yes.
Like Brett Bielema's not a tiny man. That is a humongous human being. Like, what is Brett Bielema gonna do? Brett Bielema looks like he could eat Shane Beamer.
Looked like he might use him as a toothpick.
God.
But McCray, huge game for McCray. 114 yards on 13 carries, responsible for 2 of the Illini's touchdowns. Luke Altmaier threw another touchdown, did just enough. Great game manager. I like Altmaier. I think he fits perfect in that Bielema offense. Tough defense, do enough on offense, and win the game. Congratulations to the Fighting Illini of Illinois. Champagne was probably popping the champagne with that 10th win. I see Illini Ted's in the chat. He's in here. He's letting you know Brett was a DL, but he is easily 350 pounds plus. If he could catch Shane, it wouldn't be pretty. Yeah,
he's huge. He's not short either. I think he's like 6'7", 6'8". He's a massive
big dude.
human being.
he's a big dude. He's a formidable guy, but we're lucky to have him in the Big Ten. Again, if you want to go just enjoy a timeline on Twitter some, go check out Bert's timeline. He was trolling today, and the SEC fans were you want to see some salt. Boy, he upset some SEC fans because they reminded him he didn't do very well at Arkansas, and but he's doing well at Illinois. I mean,
Illinois.
They really haven't had a coach since Ron Zook got fired, so this is the most sustained success I've seen out of the Illini in that period. So congratulations to Brett.
Lovie Smith had like 1 or 2 decent years, but for the most part was meh, right? Like it's a decent years, I don't remember. No, but Brett Bielema is like they literally played Bielema ball. They had 183 yards rushing as a team in this game. Like 183 and 174 passing yards. Like that's insane. And like nobody does that. But Illinois makes it work, and they got 10 wins out of it this year. We call Altmaier a game manager because that's all that's necessary from an Illinois quarterback. I'm trying to think, like back when he was at Wisconsin, Russell Wilson was I don't even know if Russell played for him. Did Russell play for him? I don't even know.
No, I think Russell played for.
Yeah.
Oh, it might have been Brett.
It might have been Brett. Like it's right about that time when he left for Arkansas. If somebody in the chat can like do it, I'm just going off the top of my head. But I mean, like Russell Wilson, I think is the only quarterback I've seen Wisconsin probably in the last like 20 years anyway, who was like, okay, we could chuck it around the field a little bit here and keep up with the Joneses if we absolutely have to. But for the most part, they've always just been like, hey, I just don't make a mistake. Get the ball to the receivers, make guys pay, get guys just make plays and just be smart about it. And that's all Altmaier does. He's very, very smart quarterback. Like he's a very good quarterback when he's on. Like he just doesn't make too many mistakes, Moen. I mean, he threw the one pick, which was not a good pick, by the way. It was kind of an ugly one. But for the most part, he just, and the fans love him. Did you see that when he announced I'm coming back at the basketball game?
Oh, yeah.
Like, they were like, yeah. Like if your fans love you and everything's right, like stay. I love this. This was a great game. This was just a very fun game. If you like old school football, this was fun.
Very physical game. The Illinois defense bent but did not break. I enjoyed watching it. I think you are right. I think Russell Wilson would have been either the final year or the year before the final year for Brett at Wisconsin.
Right in there.
Yeah. But all I can remember from that season, Wisconsin fans, is Braxton Miller throwing the Hail Mary touchdown.
Yeah.
And that was right after the week where Russell Wilson lost the week prior on a Hail Mary touchdown. So
yeah, he took over at Arkansas in 2013. So he had Russell Wilson because Russell Wilson was the starting quarterback at the Seahawks in 2012. So
2012. Yep. Okay. There you go. All right. Moving on. We'll talk about Tony. I don't see Tony Lawson here, but we're going to talk about his beloved Golden Gophers. I see Illini Ted in the chat. Congratulations, Ted. Big win for you guys. You get to 10 wins on the season. Brett seems to have things going in the right direction there. Congratulations. Moving on to the Mayo Bowl. Can you guess what highlight we picked for this?
If I got to watch Fleck get covered in mayonnaise, I'm going to puke. So gross. Oh, yeah, for the play.
Flav in the building at the Deuce Mayo Bowl. Welcome, champions. It's Flavor Flav. Holy crap. How you doing? You look good, man.
All right, Coach. You can't avoid it for much longer. Let's go.
All right, avert your eyes, Becky. Here it comes.
By the way. Oh, he's got the cap.
So gross.
That's right. Yeah. Let's go, Coach. First coach in Duke's Mayo Bowl history to do it with no hat.
He is so nervous.
That's a trooper. Let's make some noise.
All right,
So
we'll take it off
nasty.
the screen there.
I'm
for
sorry.
Becky.
That's just gross. I don't like mayonnaise. So Ford people get mad. I don't even like Miracle Whip. I think they're both gross. But that's just nasty.
Miracle Whip's a Midwestern staple. You're going to have to get used to it in Big Ten country. Yeah, huge win for PJ Fleck. That's the 8th bowl win for Minnesota. 8th straight bowl win. PJ Fleck has never lost a bowl game as head coach at Minnesota. Fantastic job. He's just he's a Jim Tressel protege. I mean, if you're not a huge fan of Jim Tressel's style of football, you probably won't like PJ Fleck, but they got up 21 points. It was 21-10 at half. Never looked back. Only scoring in the second half was a field goal in the fourth quarter by Minnesota, but they did have a very clutch fourth down conversion. Big win for the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Outgained Virginia Tech 403 yards to 223 yards. Did have a couple turnovers, but they dominated the clock at 35 minutes time of possession. Other than being grossed out by the mayonnaise bath, what did you think of this game, Becky?
It was just a good game all around. Minnesota played just their normal brand of offense, and then we'll be boring kind of on offense, but we're going to score. But, we're not going to give up 20 points. So have fun. They just don't give up. They just don't give up a lot of points. If you like NFL style football, that's what Minnesota Golden Gophers play. They play a physical brand of football on defense, and they want to run the ball down your throat on offense, and then just, okay, well, we're at 3rd and 6. We'll throw it now, or we're at 3rd and 2. We can throw it or we can run it. We'll run play action. Virginia Tech I didn't think Virginia Tech ever had a chance in this game. Just on a talent scale, Virginia Tech's not the best team talent-wise. But yeah, it's just I like watching Minnesota play, but at some time, like this game was hard to watch at times, I will admit. It was, especially that third quarter, it was boring.
That's the thing. I have to give credit to Minnesota and Illinois for doing. They're continuing to play that traditional Big West style football, and they are winning games doing it. They're winning bowl games doing it. Iowa came close. The Hawkeyes did not get it done, but they came close as well. Sometimes that Big Ten West football, it ain't pretty, it ain't exciting, but it gets the job done. So congratulations to the Golden Gophers.
Yeah, it's not pretty, but Iowa just ran into a team with a better offense than the other two, because Missouri's offense is pretty darn good. That's the only difference. That's basically the reason why they lost. But this was, like I said, this was just like a typical game that Minnesota's had throughout the year. Just kind of like take a lead and we're going to hold it.
Yeah, and they did.
They did.
Exactly what they did. Tony Lawson says he's lurking in the chat. Congratulations, Tony, to you and all the Gopher fans out there. Big win for you. I get PJ Fleck now. I keep saying you guys got to replace him, but hell, if you're winning 8 straight bowl games, completely get it.
Yeah, like they won a lot of games.
Jose says lurking in nothing but a towel. Tony, it's too cold out to be having a towel on in Minnesota. I know that.
I don't know. It's 43 degrees here.
Luxury. It's 13 degrees here. Jose says Flex looks like a good time if you need a big coach to take shots with. Line I 10 says the mayo is so nasty. Clayton agrees. He says it's gross. Illini Ted says Flex seems like a Red Bull and vodka kind of guy.
Well, the amount of energy he has, that makes sense.
No, I think he's a guy who likes a good scotch and a cigar.
He probably does. He probably does. He's a classic kind of guy, but he has all that energy like he's been drinking nothing but Red Bull all day.
Tony Lawson says Minnesota's rushing offense was not good this year. Hopefully that will change next year.
Well, you added Cam Davis, so I mean, you got a 220, 230-pound running back who's fast. He's going to hit the hole, and he's going to make teams. He bruises teams as he gets through there, so should be okay. Should be fine.
Shonsky, to me, it should be the losing coaches that getting the mayo bath.
Right? Because it's so nasty. I'm sorry. That is the grossest thing in all of sports. Like, that is just nasty. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, even if you like mayo.
I hate mayonnaise.
Well, they used to say put mayo in your hair to give your hair body and shine, but that's not going to help PJ Fleck at all. So,
no. Well, he definitely has a lot of shine, any more shine, and he's probably going to like bring an alien race to this planet.
I still think he looks just like the principal from Back to the Future.
No, he totally does. God, he totally does.
Clay Johansson says, as a Michigan fan, I love Minnesota football. Wish they would get more talent. Very well coached team. They've had some talent there. I mean, they've produced some good running backs, some good OL. So
I was gonna say they've had some ballers. They just
the quarterback's been an issue for them.
Yeah.
Rosemere did pretty well for him this year. I think he's probably one of the better quarterbacks they've had. Glenn Hanna, Ducks fan, says, I wanted PJ Fleck to be Oregon's coach before Minnesota got him.
Yeah, that was about the time that what's his name was being fired.
Helfrich?
Helfrich, yeah. I think right around that time, and then they brought in Willie Taggart or whatever. Before they went to Mario. Yeah, for like a season, and then they went to Mario. Yeah.
For like a season.
Mario was there for a few years, but yeah, Willie Taggart one and done because he took that Florida State job, where he was essentially one and done anyway.
Yes. Florida State fans don't want to hear that name. Clay Johansson says, I'm a Miracle Whip guy. Absolutely. Midwest staple. Tony Lawson reminds us Flex is already 5th on the Gophers all-time win list. Lots of lean years in Minneapolis. That's why Greg loves him.
Well, I mean, it's lean years since what 1963 or something like that. Like prior to that, like no, it was like domination virtually every year. Like prior to the 1960 something season, it was like Ohio State, Michigan, and Minnesota all playing for the Big Ten.
Yeah,
like every season.
Yeah, you had Michigan State would fly in there sometimes too.
Yeah.
Interesting thing though is talking about Minnesota Golden Gophers, Tony. Before they hired Jim Tressel, everybody was saying Glenn Mason was going to be hired away from Minnesota to coach Ohio State. Didn't quite work out that way. I think a lot of people in Minnesota were hoping that.
They all wanted that.
But anyway, we're going to move on to the remaining 2 bowl games. Featured 3 Big Ten teams. Both of these were playoff quarterfinal games. We're going to start out with the Verbo Fiesta Bowl, featuring the Penn State Nittany Lions taking on the Boise State Broncos. Let's go to the highlights.
Aller floats one in the back right corner of the end zone. Tyler Warren, touchdown.
Got 8-man boxes already. They're just right now just getting beat at the point of attack.
4-man rush. Aller, he's going to take a shot. Amari Evans, right down the chimney. Touchdown. Edson lobs one. That's going to be intercepted. Tyrese Mills runs it out, slides, and it'll be victory formation for Penn State with 18 seconds to go.
And with that, the Penn State Nittany Lions roared their way into the college football playoff semifinals. They will play this Thursday. Saw the early part of that game. Drew Aller on point. Beautiful passes. He just throws a real pretty ball when he's on point. Unfortunately, in the second half, he kind of slipped down a little bit. I know some Penn State fans said that was play calling, but I saw some rather ugly passes thrown there. So, but Tyler Warren, dude's a beast. You can line him up anywhere. He lines up at tight end, wide receiver, running back, fullback, offensive line. If he could just throw the ball, which I don't know if he can. Maybe they'll pull that one out in one of the next 2 games, but just a dominating performance by Penn State.
Yeah. I mean, if the guy can suddenly start punting and kicking, they don't need anybody else on the field. No, I mean, you saw that. Like, Warren is like a head taller than virtually every defensive back for Boise. Like, he's just a mismatch for everybody, but Boise specifically, they just didn't have the guys on the back end to cover him. But that throw on the second touchdown to what's his name, Mays or whatever, that was a thing of beauty. That thing dropped in there like right in like a basket. Like, you see they put the little like garbage cans out and they asked the quarterback to kind of like throw it in there. That's what that looked like. Like, he dropped it right into a garbage can. Like, it's just the thing of beauty. But then, like you said, then in the second half, you're like, why is he throwing like crap? Like, Drew Aller still has a lot of development to go. You see it. You see the greatness sometimes, and then you see kind of meh. But overall, this was exactly how I thought this game would go. They're going to load the box up, dare Boise to run Genty, which they did. I thought that the secondary would have been a lot better. But, once you get up big, once you get up a couple of scores, Boise's done. Like, they have to throw the football.
And that's basically what happened.
Yeah.
Penn State got up. Boise State could never get back into it.
Yeah, they shut down the running game for the most part. Genty averaged about 3.5 yards per carry, roughly. Pretty good, actually. Pretty good. That'll get you a first down. 3 rushes in a row. But yeah, they got after Madsen a lot. He was kind of running around for his life at times. They made him very uncomfortable in the pocket. I will say Boise did a good job of moving the pocket at times, kind of give him that moment. But yeah, this, like, anybody who thought like this game wasn't going to go any differently, I'd like to know, because we all thought Penn State would win this game, right? Like, this is the one that you could pencil in. I know who's going to win this game. guarantee I knew it was going to be Penn State because that front seven was going to cause problems for Boise. And you knew, hey, they can load the box. They have size at safety to be able to load the box. And they did. They loaded the box. There were like 8 guys in that box almost all the time. So,
yeah, Madsen had 3 interceptions. Of course, the one you saw in the highlight video there to end the game.
Yeah, has to force it there. He has no choice. But
he didn't have a choice. But again, this is a situation. Penn State got up early, and then they just let the big uglies dominate. Congratulations to the Penn State Nittany Lions going to their first college football playoff semifinals. Doing well for the Big Ten. We look forward to their next game at Notre Dame, which we will touch on in a moment. But before that, we've got one more bowl game to look at. I know you guys know what it is. I could have probably done 15 minutes of highlights on this next game with just all the scoring plays that took place. But we only did a couple. So here we go.
Islands, they're going to need to hold up against these receivers.
Take it to Judkins again, and there is Smith roaming free, breaks a tackle. Ohio State strikes quickly from 45 yards.
Sarafeld has moved from the left guard over to the right guard, and Luke Montgomery played in that Tennessee game in at left guard.
Off the fake down the middle, caught in stride, Ibuka touchdown. Buckeyes on fire. See if they take a shot here. Howard looking to launch right down the middle. Smith is wide open. Too easy.
One play off.
Are 2 big guys to be out for Oregon right now. I'll try to keep you updated.
And the bad news gets worse. Trevion Henderson is loose down the sidelines. All the way to the end zone. It's a Crimson avalanche here in Pasadena. 66 yards. Ohio State overwhelming today. And look out, Longhorns, because the Scarlet and Gray Redemption Tour arrives in Texas for the semifinals with serious steam. And for the top seed undefeated team, Dan Lanning could not have seen this knockout coming.
Well, what can you say there? Ohio State started off with 31 unanswered points in the first half. Oregon did get a touchdown and a 2-point conversion, taking them into halftime, getting a little momentum. Oregon did come out after the half, score another touchdown. Unfortunately for them, Ohio State scored a touchdown to match it. And then it was just a matter of bleeding the clock. Oregon had outscored its opponents almost all year, by wide margin. They had beat Ohio State earlier this year by a single point in Autzen. They played in the Big Ten Conference Championship game their first year in the conference, became the Big Ten champion. Congratulations to the Oregon Ducks for that. But I don't know if this is an Ohio State is really, really good or Oregon just wasn't prepared.
I know people keep saying, oh, it has to be Russ that they played this game, a week after the season ended. It'd be different. I'm sorry. Did you watch the secondary for Oregon? Because they were absolutely lost and confused. I've not seen Oregon leave guys wide open like they did, and they left guys wide open. Like, you had players like Muhammad who hasn't looked that bad ever in his career, like ever. I'm talking, he played at Oklahoma State, Washington, and now Oregon. He's never looked that bad. He looked lost. They had no answers. They had no answers, especially on the back end. Smith was a problem. Buka was a problem. Howard, the one throw there that you showed to Mbuka, that was like perfect throw.
Yeah.
Like, he was covered. Like, that's just a perfect throw. Dropped it right in there. Only guy who could catch it was the receiver. But for the most part, they just looked absolutely lost. It was a perfect half of football that Ohio State played, and that's all it took. Oregon had no answers, and it just got worse. They came out, they got the touchdown, and then they got another touchdown after the half. That was it. And it was like, okay, And then Ohio State score again. I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back. It just done. Like,
Yeah,
I don't think it was bad. Moen, I don't think Oregon had a bad game plan. I think Chip Kelly was just better at calling plays.
I think they got stunned.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. They got stunned. They started reeling. They couldn't stop themselves from reeling. By the time they were able to stop themselves from reeling, it was too late. There was nothing that they could do, really. Ohio State had that long drive in the third quarter, took so much time off the clock. You had mentioned it in our group chat. It was over at that point. There simply wasn't enough time on the clock for Oregon to score in order to make up, to get to 41 or 42 and pass the Buckeyes. So
there was no chance at that point. I was like, I'm watching the game and I'm just like stunned by how quick Oregon had to flip what they do. They don't like to get out of the hey.
Yeah.
They don't like to throw deep, guys. That's not their thing. They scheme their guys open. They do it. They're very quick. They're very quick athletic receivers. They scheme them open. They want to run the ball, and then they want to do some like short kind of intermediate stuff. They do not like to go deep too much, and they had no choice. They had to start pushing the ball downfield. They got uncomfortable. They got uncomfortable quick, and Ohio State just, like I said, Ohio State was just better. Like everything, they executed better. Their defense played better. Dylan Gabriel did not get sacked a ton this year. He didn't get harassed a ton this year. It felt like every single snap, Ohio State was on him. Like as soon as the ball was there, he was just being harassed immediately. They just played better.
Yeah. 500 yards to 276 yards. No turnovers in this game. Time of possession was pretty evenly split. Actually, Ohio State had a lower time of possession. But here was the main difference for me. Look at this receiving yards. Number one on Oregon's was Holden. He had 7 receptions for 116 yards, and he scored both touchdowns. Jeremiah Smith, 7 receptions, 187 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That man is a true freshman.
Yeah.
Going up against the number 1 team in the country, and he had 187 yards.
Not just like the number 1 team in the country, but like guys who have been All-Americans and all-conference guys who have played in big games. And Muhammad was on in most of this game. Muhammad, who played against Texas in the Sugar Bowl a year ago and Michigan in the national title game. No answer. They could not figure out how to cover him. He was open. He was so wide open at times, Mo. And I felt bad for Oregon. I was like, I don't know how you guys got to do something. Can't double cover everybody, but you got to double cover this guy. And they never did.
Again, I think they were stunned and reeling, and they could not recover in a timely period. And it got out of hand quick. I mean, it really got out of hand quick. 31 unanswered points is. I
mean, the only reason why Ohio State didn't dominate time of possession, Moen, is because they had big plays.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's it.
That first touchdown to Jeremiah Smith was the second play of that drive, the second play of the game. And then I think the Travion Henderson one was like the third play in that offensive series. So you're right. Just very, very fast plays. Tony Lawson says Glenn Mason is 4th on the Minnesota Golden Gophers win list. Jose says a friend from Idaho mixed Miracle Whip and ketchup and called it Idaho sauce.
It's called sugar.
Line Ted says, sad state of my program is that Brett is already 9th in total wins in 4 years and will move up to 4th with another 8+ win season. Clay Johansson says, OSU, please don't have a letdown game. I think OSU will shut down Texas's run game. And we've got Glenn Hanna in here. A lot of great athletic plays for Ohio State, but also Chip Kelly did a masterful job at confusing Oregon's defense. They look completely confused. Yeah, they got stunned, and like I said, I think they started reeling.
Yeah, they've never been punched in the mouth all year right off the bat like that. They just never. They didn't know how to react. You figure like every team has had close games. Their only close game was at home against Ohio State. By the way, Moen, I had to go look. All three of their best games, all three were at home. They didn't go on the road to play a good team. They didn't have to go anywhere to play anybody good. Their best road game was Michigan. I had to look. They had Boise State, Illinois, and Ohio State all in Autzen. They did not go anywhere. They didn't travel to play great teams. And even their rivals, their big rival, Washington, was at home. And then, Corvallis is only a short drive. That was it. Their toughest games were basically Oregon State, who's a rival, and Michigan. They're only two tough road tests of the year. And they finally got on grass. By the way, this is the only game they played on grass. Or I think Purdue's the only other game they played on grass. That's it. But that's Purdue. This is the only other game they played on grass. Like, they didn't look as fast. They didn't look as athletic. And I mean, I don't know what to say. I'm a little disappointed in the Ducks because you're the number one team. You should have been able to handle this. Like, you should have been better.
Yeah, I was expecting a close game. I was not prepared. Even after the whooping that Tennessee got the week before, I was not prepared for that. So
yeah, I thought the Tennessee whipping that they got, I was like, that makes sense, simply because Ohio State's mad. They lost to Michigan. They're angry. They're annoyed. They're gonna try it. Like, they want to make a statement like, hey, we're here to play. I legit thought like Oregon's like, okay, that's cool. We're gonna punch you now. Let's see if you punch back. Because, by the way, Michigan gave the blueprint, ladies and gentlemen. Michigan gave the blueprint. All you had to do is virtually copy it.
Well, to be fair, they did not do any gap running this game. There was absolutely zero gap running.
No, because they didn't have to. They could just throw it downfield.
Well, I mean, even when they did run, they never ran between the gaps.
No,
it was all to the outside. So
yeah, because you saw the clip there, the Oregon linebacker, who was like a baseball player too. They made this big deal about him in the Washington game, and he looked absolutely slow trying to track that running back down. He hit that corner, he was gone. I was like, Oregon usually has very fast, athletic linebackers. Ohio State, give them credit, they took advantage of the lack of speed.
Tony Lawson says, great season for Oregon. Absolutely. The Oregon Ducks, Big Ten champions, our first season in the conference. We can't take that away from them. An undefeated regular season, the only team in FBS to do that. Congratulations to the Oregon Ducks. Finally, Ohio State opened up their passing game. This was the boost needed. Yeah, I think I was upset about the Michigan loss. That Michigan loss may put them into national championship. That apparently woke a sleeping giant.
Yeah, that angered him.
Clay Johansson says, congrats, Moen. I didn't have anything to do with it, but I will take that. I've already apologized to Ryan Day, and I will apologize to him again. Timothy Green says, I would like to know what happened to Oregon and where in the hell was their offense at. They didn't play for shit until after the half and played a little bit better.
I don't think they played all that much better in the second half. Moen, Ohio State just took the foot off the gas because it could. That long drive, once that long drive was done and they were back up, 4 scores, they didn't have to do anything. Or they're like, Oregon can't catch us. So
yeah, it's like Mike Tyson used to have a great quote. Everybody's got to play until they get punched in the face. At that point, plans go out the window. Unfortunately, Oregon got punched in the face, and it got out of hand.
That's why I was saying it's very shocking to see a number one team in the country get punched like this and not have a response. Like, even when they played Ohio State in the national title game, they didn't get beat like this. I mean, it was a 20-point loss, but they didn't get beat like this. Like, this game felt just over on the first touchdown of the game. Like, it was just done.
I would say by the third touchdown, I realized it was over.
Yeah, no, everybody knew at the third. Once they got up by 3 scores, I was like, that's ball game. And I did. I told you in the chat. I was like, that's ball game.
Illini Ted says OSU needs to put Texas and the SEC out of their misery. And if Penn State can take down Notre Dame, it sets up back-to-back all Big Ten championships.
Yeah.
Somewhat true. Somewhat true. Yes, Washington is in the Big Ten this year. They were in the Pac-12 last year. But if we want to be like SEC fans, we can claim it.
Claim it. Let's just claim it. It irritates them too. So let's claim it. By the way,
yeah.
part of the reason why Paul Feinbaum's like losing his mind about the Big Ten possibly having an all Big Ten national title game is because of last season. Because it's basically back to back.
And ESPN has to call it.
Yep.
Glenn Hanna says, I don't think if Oregon played their best game, they wouldn't have won, to be honest. Ohio State was just firing on all cylinders. Yeah, it
felt like that.
It's a thresher. Let me see here. Illini Ted, scheduling. Glenn Hanna again says, I'll feel a lot better when Ohio State beats Texas by 28.
I don't
From
know.
your lips to God's ears, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
I don't know if that's going to happen. Again, we didn't think this would happen. We didn't think it would happen to Tennessee. But, I mean, I don't think it will happen. No. I mean, we'll get into it, but, I mean, Texas does not give up a lot of touchdowns, guys. They just don't.
Shonsky lets us know ketchup America Whip is called fried sauce. Don't knock it until you try it. Best French fry sauce ever.
I know what he's talking about. We have it here in Washington as well. No. My mom used to make that. It's just like, it looks orange. It's weird.
Purdue has great fans.
They do.
Absolutely.
They have to. They average 59,000 fans a game, Moen.
They got the world's biggest drum.
They do.
It's because they opened up the pass game, and Will Howard is really hot right now. Question marks. So okay.
I'd say he's hot.
I'd say he's the hottest quarterback in college football right now, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Let's face it, Ohio State in the trenches are stronger and better, and I will go on to say that they will win the national championship. You've been saying that, I think, all season pretty much, Timothy Green. So it sounds like you might be right. And with that said, we will move on to our preview of the guaranteed remaining 2 Big Ten games in the college football playoff. Both semifinals this Thursday. Notre Dame Fighting Irish, Penn State Nittany Lions, Capital One Orange Bowl. Right now, Notre Dame is favored in that matchup by 2 points. Over-under is 45.5. Money line, you're not getting a great money line. Penn State underdog 113. What do you think about this game, Becky?
Let me say this. Notre Dame is very lucky that the Georgia Bulldogs turned a ball over on their own 13-yard line and had I don't know what they were doing on special teams, but they had a brain fart. Like 6 guys had a brain fart on his kickoff because they would have lost. You know, the game's 10-9 Georgia. If you take away the 13-yard touchdown pass after a fumble and then the kickoff, it's a 13-9 ball game, or it's a 10-9 ball game or something like that. Like, it's stupid. This feels right. Both these teams are playing great defense right now. They don't give up. They're not giving up a ton. 45.5. The difference maker in this game will be Riley Leonard from Notre Dame. Notre Dame is going to run the ball. They're going to hand that ball off. They're going to pound it. But Riley Leonard is the difference here because he has the ability to get out and make plays with his legs. I think Penn State, again, I've said it, best front 7 in all of the playoff. They're going to get after him a little bit, but Notre Dame's got a very, very good offensive line. So it's just a matter of who is going to run the ball better than the other. And I like Penn State in the game only because I think they're slightly better on defense than Notre Dame, but also you don't know which Notre Dame you're going to get, Moen. You hit the one that's like lights out great on offense, or are you going to get the one that kind of like sputters here and there?
Well, I think that's going to be the case. Is going to be whether or not Abdul Carter plays for Penn State. If he does not play, if you didn't notice, he was injured during that Boise State game. Ended up spending most of the game on the sidelines. James Franklin said he was doing the right things, but didn't clarify whether that means he was playing this week. I did see the report that he did not practice today with the rest of the team. That is a huge loss for that Penn State defense if he is not there. If Abdul Carter's there, get some pressure on Riley Leonard, get him to make some mistakes, throw some interceptions. I still like Penn State.
Yeah.
I think they've got that dual two-headed running back duo to, go through there and pick up some yards. I think that's the difference. I see a close game. I see a physical close game. I like Penn State 20-17.
Yeah, I mean, I'd take Penn State. I think it's going to be a little bit lower scoring. I see more like a 19-16 kind of ball game. It's going to be ugly. If Bill Carter plays, it's going to get real ugly. I think he's going to try. There's photos of him in his watching game film while sitting in the hot tub and the cold baths and all that stuff. So he's like, his Instagram, he's been popping off. He's been showing himself like getting ready. So yeah, Lee says it best. All the cryptic tweets. I think he's going to play. He's going to try.
I hope so, Lee, because I think that's going to be the difference in this game is getting pressure on Riley Leonard.
Getting pressure on Riley Leonard and making him move forward in the pocket, not out. If you get him going outside the pocket, you're in trouble. Like, he's going to make you pay because he's not a run first quarterback. He's like a Ben Roethlisberger. I want to get out of the pocket and I'll run if I absolutely have to, but I'm looking downfield to throw it. I'm going to throw it if somebody's open. So we'll see.
Absolutely. And regardless of who wins this game, we will have the first African-American coach to coach in a national championship game, either Marcus Freeman or James Franklin. Good luck to James Franklin. I'm rooting for you. I think I might put a little money on you. We'll see how you do.
Yeah.
Moving on, Ohio State Buckeyes, Texas Longhorns. This is basically a home game for the Longhorns. They get it in the Cotton Bowl. 5.5. That is the spread. Ohio State's favored by 5.5. The over-under line is 53.5. Texas is getting 189 on the money line. I like Ohio State here. Listen, this whole playoffs, I bet Ohio State, the money line, and the over. I'm not changing. Give me Ohio State. Give me Ohio State on the money line. Give me the over. What do you think, Becky?
Give me the over. Oh, God, give me the over. Here's the thing. Texas has only given up now like 9 total touchdowns through the air all season, which is freaking ridiculous when you think about it, because they do play some pretty talented teams in the SEC, and they did beat Michigan at Michigan. They don't give up a lot of points. They just don't. They make it tough. They were up 24-5 at one point on Arizona State. They make your life miserable at times. But they kind of disappear a little bit in the fourth quarter, a lot. It's kind of shocking. For me, it all depends on. I think Texas is the best team remaining, but I had them as my national title pick. But I think Ohio State actually is going to win this game. But for me, Moen, which Queen Ewers are we going to get? Are we going to get the one that's like, oh my God, like early in the season, kind of like he could do any throw he wants. He's not making mistakes. Or are we going to get the one that's kind of like, I think I'm banged up. I'm not really feeling it. And, I'm going to be stupid and throw the ball to the other team. Because he does. He throws it right at guys. And I'm like, what are you doing? He throws it right to defenders. I'm like, what are you doing?
Now, to be fair, Will Howard has never beat the Texas Longhorns. During his time at Kansas State, never beat the Texas Longhorns. He is winless against Texas. I think he gets it done here. I think at the end of this, we're going to say Will Howard, Jeremiah Smith probably are your MVPs of this college football playoff. I look for Ohio State to win this one 45-21. I like Ohio State. I do like them to score. I think once they get going, that offense gets clicking, it's going to be bad for Texas. If they can come out and score twice, I think it's just going to be just like the Oregon game. Texas is going to be reeling and not necessarily prepared to counterpunch. So
yeah, Texas has a lot of size on that D line, a lot of beef. They have a lot of beef in their linebacking core, and they're fast. They are very, very fast. I don't know if Ohio State will be able to control the edge on offense. I don't know if they'll be able to get to the corner as quickly and as easily as they did against Oregon. Texas has, NFL players all over the place. Ohio State does too, but Texas has a ton. For me, I see a 33 kind of 30 ball game. That's where I see it. I think it's going to be 33-30. I think it's going to be tight. I think it comes down to a field goal. I don't trust Texas's kicker anymore in that situation, as he proved. But the question will be if Texas gets down, how far down will Texas get before they flip over to Archie Manning? Because Archie Manning changes the complete complexion of the game for Ohio State if he steps foot on that field. Like, everything changes if that kid steps foot on the field. And unfortunately, you have to kind of prepare for both because he does trot out there at times. So
yeah, absolutely. But I think we're both picking an all Big Ten national championship game. Tune in next week to see if we're right. I hope we're right. Let's get to some comments before we bid you all an adieu. Tony Lawson, NIL sucks. The Buckeyes now have a good men's hockey program. Nobody in the men's hockey program is getting paid, dude. All that money is going for football.
Well, they will start getting paid, Moen. They will.
Well, they will, but that's not NIL money.
That's not. I mean, maybe one or two guys are getting NIL, but I doubt the whole team is.
Yeah.
Like, unless you know something about a booster, none of us do. None of us do.
Maybe there's a guy out there who likes hockey from Ohio State.
I mean, I would suspect like Minnesota, North Dakota State, Denver, those kinds of programs are trotting out, big time money to these kids, but Mankato. But I don't.
Yeah, Tony, I don't think Minnesota has anything to worry about. Okay. Minnesota is going to put more money towards hockey than any other college. So,
yeah.
Shonsky says, what's sad is that if Oregon was still in the Pac-12, the narrative would have been the Pac-12 sucks and doesn't belong. Still the same team, different conference.
No, I don't think it would have been that narrative. Watching them play the way they did against Tennessee, it would just been like, it's a hot team. I don't think that it would have been the narrative at all, especially since they played it. It would have been a non-conference game that they played against each other, and Oregon won. Like Washington last year was like, oh, they didn't play anybody. They're in the Pac-12. They're not going to be good. And then they go out there and, they don't play big boy football. And then they go out there and beat Texas. Straight up. Beat Texas. They ran it down their throat. So.
Line Ted says, I didn't think about the possibility of Texas and Notre Dame in the championship. That would feel like the ultimate letdown after what the Big Ten has done this year.
It would be an absolute letdown if the Big Ten doesn't get at least one of the two teams in there.
Antoine Code says Ohio State will score plenty of touchdowns. Texas won't score enough. Ohio State wins big.
I know people are like that, but I'm like, Steve Sarkisian is a very, very good play caller. They're going to score. The question will be like, can they keep up if Ohio State's offense is clicking still? Because if Ohio State drops another 30.5 on a team, I'm going to barf because that's insane. No, I don't know if anybody's ever done that. Like, just being honest, like what they remind me of LSU in 2019 because they did it twice.
Yeah.
And they dropped 63 on Oklahoma and then just blew the doors off Clemson. But yeah,
that was a special year.
That was a great year.
Lee says Carter better play after all these cryptic tweets he's been sending out. Yes, I hope so. Timothy Green says Notre Dame on the back end is soft. Notre Dame's cornerbacks are soft. I think Ohio State will pick them apart. Well, Ohio State's got to get past Texas first. We're not going to look at the championship game yet.
Yeah, we're not even. I'm not even like thinking about Ohio State playing anybody other than this game because they didn't exactly do well against Penn State at Penn State. So,
Well, you go back and watch the game film, Becky. There was some crazy stuff that happened in that
Oh, I
game.
know. There is always crazy stuff that happens in that game. It doesn't matter what year it is. It's always a tight ball game because they get stupid. Both teams play bad.
Shonsky says Penn State only wins the game throwing the ball. The matchups are great. That's right. Whichever Drew Aller shows up. If the great Drew Aller shows up, I have no doubt Notre Dame or Penn State will beat Notre Dame.
Oh, no doubt. Especially with the best receiver on the field being his tight end. Yeah, good luck. Notre Dame doesn't have anybody who can cover him. So good luck. Nobody has anybody that can cover him.
Yeah, nobody can cover him. Even Ohio State struggled. Carter terrorized Altmaier all game. He can change the game for sure. Absolutely. That's what scares me. If he's not there, I hope he plays.
You like Carter going against that left tackle again for Ohio State. Man.
Ohio State scores all 53. Good time for shutout. Okay. I'll take it. Tony Lawson wants to know, is Iowa State's coach Matt Campbell heading to the New York Jets? I hope not.
I hope not. I mean, let's just be honest. He turned down $10 million from the Lions, $9.5 million from University of Washington. He's not leaving there. It's like they were going to double his salary for the Lions, and he turned it down. Washington was going to give him $9 million. Kid you not. They offered him $9 million, and he turned it down. Again, people have offered him more money to go elsewhere. He's not leaving. I think he's one of the few guys in college football that's loyal to a team. For whatever reason. I don't know what it is. He likes it there.
Sergeant Pickles is in the chat. Hello all. Thanks for holding the fort down. No problem, Sergeant Pickles. Hope you're doing well and everything was good on your end. Antoine Coe says, I see Ohio State running a lot of plays similar to ASU, except ASU finishes all of their drives with touchdowns. I think he meant OSU finishes all their drives with touchdowns.
Yeah.
Sergeant Pickle says, I give the Huskies a puncher's chance at home next year. I think that's in regards to the Oregon.
Yeah. No. Well, Ohio State and Oregon both come to Seattle next year. Yeah. Oh, and I think the Nittany Lions do too.
Should be fun. Shonsky says, to me, who's the better quarterback right now, Howard or Ewers? The matchups on defense are great.
Well, Ewers is coming back for another year of college. That should tell you everything.
It's not going to be at Texas, so.
Not going to be at Texas, but somebody apparently offered the kid $6 million.
It wasn't Ohio State. A lot of people were saying, Ohio State. We're going with Julian Sion next year, guys.
By the way, Washington landed a transfer receiver from Texas, and he was not mincing words about Ewers. So, just putting that out there.
Timothy Greens, I hear you, Sergeant Pickles. You're one hell of a family man, no doubt about it. Let's give you a little applause, Pickles. Tony Lawson says, Monavision, your hat needs a mayo bath. Listen, on the Big Ten Mafia show, every Big Ten team gets their hat worn at least once.
Except one.
And they know who they are. Last comment here is from our friend Timothy Green, the OG. Becky, go Huskies. I have a question for you. If Washington beats Oregon next year, will you take a mayo bath for me, please? I would love to see it.
Not a chance. Not a chance. Look, I do not like mayonnaise, like at all. Like I hate mayonnaise. I hate the smell. I hate the taste. I hate everything about mayonnaise is gross. Sorry guys, it's gross. Just beat eggs, oil. It's gross.
Okay, what about if you just used it like a facial mask? Did like a Mrs. Doubtfire with it?
I would vomit. I don't like the taste of it or the smell of it. I couldn't do it. Also, nobody wants to see my fat ass get covered in mayo.
I beg to differ.
Apparently Timothy Green does, but nobody else does.
Let's get a kiddie pool and fill it with mayo and have you jump it in a moped.
I'll jump it in a moped because I know I'll clear it.
All right, Becky, since Sergeant Pickles isn't here, I will ask you to start off. What's your one for the road?
My one for the road. Everybody keeps talking that we need to change the playoff because, all 4 teams that got a bye lost. I'm sorry. It's one season, guys. Things are going to change. We need more data. This happens all the time in the NFL, especially we've seen the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Green Bay Packers both being 6 seeds and managing to win a Super Bowl. And not even to mention the New York Giants did it, and they beat an undefeated team. This thing happens. Teams get hot, teams play football, teams play bad. Some teams have better matchups against other teams. I'm not ready to sit back and say, hey, look, we need to change the whole thing because X, Y, and Z. It's 1 year. 1 year. And if you want to go to 16, you'll have to go to 16 because they're not going to go to 8. And if you go to 16, you still have to figure out the bowls. You still have to figure out how this is going to work. But I'm telling you, Penn State, we knew was going to win. Notre Dame and Georgia. Georgia had a backup quarterback. And, Ohio State just blew the doors off Oregon. There's no excuse there. And Texas was up 24-5. And Arizona State actually dominated time of possession by 13 minutes. They could not score. It's not a Texas plays really good defense. Everybody knows this. And then Texas took their foot off the gas, and we know what happened. But let's just be honest. Don't rush to judgment just simply because everybody lost. By the way, every road team lost in the other round. Are we going to switch to neutral field for that? Nobody said anything about that. They all got blown out. So just, little thing to kind of keep in control there. They're university presidents. They're going to look at data. They're not going to use a sample study. They're going to look at this over time. So just kind of chill on that a little bit.
Absolutely. And my one for the road is the SEC and Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin did a lot of talking this week after they whooped on Duke with a 3rd-string quarterback. Congratulations to Lane Kiffin on beating the crap out of a team that, purely you had overmatched. If the SEC is so afraid of, or so much better than the Big Ten, they should not be scared of signing that scheduling agreement. Put the pen to the paper, SEC. Let's play 16 games against each other every year. We'll do 8 and 8, 8 on Fox, 8 on ESPN, 8 at home and 8 away. It's entirely in your court from what I understand. So if the SEC, if you can get your hands to stop shaking long enough to pick up at Penn, get Greg Sankey to sign on that dotted line. With that, let's hope for a Big Ten National Championship game, an all Big Ten National Championship game. We will see you here next week to do a preview of that game, hopefully. Sergeant Pickles will probably be here next week, hopefully. And I know Becky and myself will be here.
Yeah.
And we will see you guys then. Don't forget to tune into the Big 12 Mafia show tomorrow at 8 p.m. right here on the College Football Mafia Network. For myself, for Becky, for Sergeant Pickles, we will now bid you an adieu.
Bye, everyone.